Just a short time ago, House Republicans voted down a progressive attempt to boost jobs and repair the nation's infrastructure without gutting social spending. But despite claiming to be job creators, this legislation has caused some Conservatives to literally lose their minds, exploding into a range of incoherent melodrama and madness.
Will the federal government begin stealing our money? Enter the Congressional Progressive Caucus right here in the USA. The far-left kooks do want to cut one thing: defense spending. Some conservatives believe that's exactly what the far-left wants, a collapse of the entire capitalistic system.
Joining us now is one of the authors of that legislation, Congressman Keith Ellison, who co-chairs the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
The venerable Bill O'Reilly has labelled several charges at you, sir, and your caucus, so I must ask you now, have you once or ever been a kook, or do you support the repeal of American capitalism? Are you a lunatic?
I have not now, nor have ever been any of those things.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering that. I think that we are fully satisfied with that response. Now, to be fair, your budget faced resistance from those in your own party. On the other hand, I would suggest that's a healthy switch from a budget like Paul Ryan's that for 3 years has failed, but for 3 years is approved by virtually every single Republican in the House. But are you discouraged at all at today's result?
No, we're quite encouraged because we're gone up. We've actually picked up votes from over last year. But let me tell you, though, Martin, Gallup recently issued a survey and found out that about 72% of all Americans want more infrastructure spending, and a majority of Republicans do as well. The real question is, how do we get Congress to vote in a way that reflects the will of the American people? I mean, the fact is that Republicans have done a great job in making the debate all around austerity and budget cutting and debt and deficit. And then last weekend, Speaker Boehner admits that we don't have an immediate debt problem. Well, you know, we're still sort of, as a collective body, still sort of stuck on this idea that, you know, it's all about cuts and how many and how much, when the real issue should be jobs. These budgets should be evaluated based on how many people they put to work, how many problems they solve for the American people. 5 years ago, in my district, the bridge fell into the Mississippi River. Our bill would fix problems like that and make those things a thing of the past, and they'd put a lot of people back to work, too.
Absolutely. Mr. O'Reilly and other Republicans upset because you and your caucus have offered alternatives to Paul Ryan's massive spending cuts. And as I say, job creation is the first item on the executive summary of your report. And the first item under that is infrastructure. Now, the American Society of Civil Engineers, and this is, you know, an engineering organization, not a political one, says we need 3.6 trillion in spending within the next 7 years. But we have a shortfall by almost half that. I mean, are they kooks?
Well, you know, rather than, you know, add to the vitriolic debate, I'll just say that the American people are right to support our budget items on infrastructure spending, and the American Society of Civil Engineers certainly know what they're talking about. At the end of the day, we've got to ask a question: how accurately does Congress reflect the will of the American people? When a majority of Republicans say, you know, they want more infrastructure spending, you know, I think that this is kind of a no-brainer. And I'll tell you this: we're going to keep on pressing. We know that the American people are on our side. We're on their side, and we're not going to back down. And you know, the Republicans have a head start on us. They've been talking about debt, deficit, austerity, cuts, and then they say that you're just outrageous or a kook if you don't buy their line. Well, one of the reasons they've shot so much invective our way is because we have not been cowed. We're not afraid. We believe that we're going to stand up and stand for what we believe in.
Well, let's really focus on kookism now, because your budget includes more money for food assistance program. Now, when Michelle Bachmann spoke at CPAC on Saturday, she made a gross falsehood, a claim about money for poverty programs winding up in the hands of bureaucrats. Let me read how the Washington Post concludes its For Pinocchio on that particular claim. So Buckman, yet again, earns 4 Pinocchios. But there really aren't enough Pinocchios for such misleading use of statistics in a major speech. Sir, if there is one kook in that House, she surely must qualify.
Well, you know, she is standing up for her ideological position, which is that
Congressman,
rich people don't have
she's
enough
telling
money.
lies. That's not an ideological position. That's an outright lie.
True, Martin, but it does sort of advance what argument she wants to make, which is that, you know, poor people have too much and rich people don't have enough, which is why she's always trying to cut programs that serve the poor and always trying to cut taxes for the rich. I mean, it may not be true, but it also serves her position and her vision of America. And so that's kind of why she keeps on getting invited back to stuff like CPAC, because, you know, they have a certain view of the world, which is that if you're low income, that you're undeserving, and if you're rich, you're somehow virtuous.
Indeed.
And that's kind of how they roll.
Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison, I know you've run to our camera today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Next, an American hero remembered. Stay with us.
I can see clearly now.